Scholars, Miss Coil here. Happy Monday and happy last week of kindergarten. Oh my goodness, can you believe we are on our last week of school? We have been able to read so many books together over this school year when we were in the classroom, and even virtually now online. We have read so many books, and I can't wait to share with you the books that we're going to be reading this week. Today is, let's go ahead and get started. Today is Monday, May 18th, 2020. You might have noticed that it's getting hotter outside. The weather is getting a lot hotter. You might be sweating faster. I know I am. It's getting into the summertime. Silent excitement. So this week we are going to finish strong by reading 2 more books. They're going to be split up amongst the days of this week, so we know days of the week. We're going to split them up this week. Today is really exciting because we're going to start a new book about a peddler. Do you know what a peddler is? Good try. I love how everyone put their fingers up to their brain and thought about it. So guys, a peddler is someone who travels around selling goods, selling things to people who come up to buy them. So our peddler in this story, he sells hats. He sells hats, and he faces a problem, a really silly problem. Today we're going to start our book, and while we're reading, we're still going to be keeping track of story. You guys have become such experts at knowing our story elements that this week I have a new challenge for you. Say, what is it? Nice, loud, and proud voice. The new challenge today is keeping track of our character's mental state as we read. We're going to split this book up Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so we're going to really need to keep track of our character's thoughts and how they're feeling as we continue to read this book. So that's job number 1. I also want us to think back about when we used to make predictions. A prediction is a good guess what will happen in the story. We're going to guess as we read today what will happen next. Is this story scholars? Guess what? Yeah, this story has some really interesting parts that kind of pop up out of nowhere. And I wonder if you're going to be able to predict what will happen next as we read this book. So we'll work on character mental state, predictions, and also we're going to go back to a skill we've already practiced where we go back and reread when something doesn't make sense. We know we're getting ready to go into 1st grade, so sometimes these books get a little bit more challenging. And sometimes what the author is saying, I sometimes have to go back and reread to make sure that I really know what the author is trying to tell me. So we're going to work on character mental state, making predictions, and rereading when something doesn't make sense or we're not sure why or how something is happening. So let's cue the music. Are you ready? Are you going to cue the music with me? 1, 2, 3, cue the music. And let's review story elements. Setting is get ready, go. Setting is where and when the story takes place. Characters are get ready, go. Characters are the people, animals, or things acting in a story. Nice work, high 10. Rocking it. Problem is get ready, go. Problem is something that the character wants or needs but they cannot have. Whoa, you are on a roll, scholars. Keep it up. Attempts to resolve are get ready, go. Attempts to resolve are how the character tries to solve their problem. Good. And finally, solution is get ready, go. Solution is how the problem is solved. You got it, scholars. So we'll continue to work on those story elements. Last week you rocked it when we played our game where you had to find the different story elements. You also had to draw a line from the setting to S. You had to draw a line from the talking characters to T. You did a wonderful job playing that game, so you never know. There might be some sneaky games embedded into our read aloud today. So as always, we're going to show our Vista College Prep core value of self-determination and hard work, so that we can do a rockin' job and finish our week super strong. Can you show me your muscles? Remember we showed our really big muscles, show our muscles. Oh my goodness, your muscles are bigger than mine. Holy moly. Oh. And let's get into it. Start reading. Caps for sale. A tale of a peddler, some monkeys, and their monkey business. Remember I told you what a peddler is? What is a peddler? Nice job thinking about it. Yeah, a peddler is someone who travels around selling things to people. Good job. And remember, we said that the peddler is selling caps, which is a hat. I know that a cap and a hat is the same thing. So let's go ahead and start reading our book. Caps for sale. Wow, Vista Voyagers, we have had so many cool pictures in our books that we've been reading. Take a look at that picture. Holy moly, there's so much detail. It looks like that's our peddler. All right, let's go ahead and start reading. Can you find the word once? Nice work. That was a little tricky and you still found it. Nice job. Once. Ready? Follow along with those laser pointer eyes or your finger and let's get reading. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler, carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. Guys, I think that's going to be really important information for later on in our story. What is different about this peddler? It said he's not like an ordinary, like a normal peddler. What's different about this peddler? Yeah, it says in the text, he carries them on top of his head. What does he carry on top of his head? Yeah, the caps. The caps, he carries them on top of his head. Do you see in the picture all the caps that he carries on his head? Me too. That's a lot of caps. And it said in the text, an ordinary peddler carries his wares on his back. He doesn't do that. He actually carries them on top of his head. Oh my goodness, let's keep reading. First, he had on his own checked cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" I love how we're changing our voices for our character. I read something though, and I'm not really sure what it means, so I'm going to go back in. Yeah, I'm going to go back in. Yes, I'm going to go back and reread. I'm going to go back in. Yes, I'm going to go back and reread. It said he didn't want to upset his caps, but I know a cap is a thing, and it doesn't think or feel things. It's just an object. It's a thing we wear. What does that mean, upset his caps? Let's go back and reread together. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. Oh, what did we say was different about this peddler? Yeah, scholars. He keeps the caps on top of his head. Oh, so I think when it says he doesn't want to upset his caps, I think that means he doesn't want them to fall or like tip over. That's why he's standing so very straight so that they don't tilt or tip over. Good work. That was a little tricky. Look at that self-determination to stay so balanced and have such a straight back. All those caps on the top of his head. I know this is the beginning of our story, so I'm already thinking about S and T. What is S? Yeah, S is the setting. And what is T? Yes, the talking characters. You got it. So I'm going to keep thinking about that like a good reader does as we continue to read. One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," said he, and he walked out of town slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. Scholars, can you find some evidence for our setting on this page? Let's look in the text, and I want you to think. What words do you see that tell us more about the setting? Yeah, I see the word morning. Good. Does that tell me where or when? Yeah, it tells me when, the time of day. Remember, in the morning? Good. Okay. Yeah, walking up and down the streets. So I know he's in town because I know the streets are in town. Okay, so at first, it's in the morning, in town. Yeah, we had to change the setting. He decides to go in the country for a walk. So I'm going to add all of that to S. Good job following along in the story. So I want to know, on this page, on page 6, I always use a text evidence when I think about answers and when I think about questions. It said on page 6 that he was very hungry. It says he began to feel very hungry. Can you find that? Yeah, he began to feel very hungry, but it said he had no money for lunch. Why doesn't he have money for lunch? Well, Miss Coil's giving some tricky questions today. Why doesn't the peddler have money for lunch, Mr. Voyagers? Sending you all the support. You got this. Now let's look back in the text. Now we can always reread if we're not sure. Yeah, nice thinking. I know in the text it told us he can't sell any caps. No one wants to buy any caps that day. And I know he sells caps for money. That's how he gets his money. So if no one's buying any, he won't have any money. So unfortunately, he has no money, so he can't buy lunch. I know because on page 6, the text says, but nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. And even earlier in the text, it said, one morning he couldn't sell any caps. So that tells me that nobody's buying any, and that's why he doesn't have any money right now. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. That's a nice place for a rest, thought he. And he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First, his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. So I say, dun, dun, dun. Nice job. Oh my goodness, what's happening? Yeah, Vista Voyagers, all of his caps are missing. Look in the picture. What do you see? Yeah, and look at your text evidence on page 12. It says all he felt was what? Yeah, all he can feel is his own checked cap. He doesn't have any of the colorful caps on his head that he sells. Oh my goodness, I wonder where they are. Let's keep reading one more page. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in the back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. Oh my goodness. Scholars, we were focusing today on character mental state, predictions, and going back and rereading. We've already worked on going back and rereading when something doesn't make sense and when we're looking for our text evidence to support our answers. I want you to think about our peddler's character mental state right now. We know character mental state is what the character's thinking and feeling. What do you think the peddler's character mental state is right now? Give me a thumbs up when you have your answer. Nice work thinking about it. I agree with you. If you were thinking that maybe he's a little bit worried, we know that's his job, right? That's how he gets his money, we said. I think he's feeling a little worried too, a little confused, like, where did they go? They were on my head when I took a nap. I also agree that he's feeling worried, unsure maybe. So I know that's what he's feeling. What do you think he's thinking? Yeah, I think he's thinking that too. I think he's thinking, what on earth happened to the caps? I know I had them on my head when I took a rest. He's looking all around him, but they're nowhere to be found. So now is our special chance to make a prediction. A prediction is get ready, go. A prediction is a good guess what will happen in the story. Scholars, I want to know your prediction. What do you think is going to happen next? Where do you think those caps are? Did someone take them? Did he lose them? Did they go missing? Where are those caps? I want you to make a prediction, a good guess what's going to happen in the story. I want you to make your prediction and write it down. Ready? Go. Nice hard work working on a prediction. I cannot wait to find out tomorrow what happened and where the caps went. So keep your prediction written down and bring it to our read aloud tomorrow. But before we go, I have a couple questions for you. We already talked about S, the setting of our story. Who's our talking character? Yeah, the peddler is the character that we've been introduced to in this story. So we know the peddler should be listed under T for talking characters. So I'm going to make sure we keep track of the peddler. We also learned a little bit about our problem today. What is starting to be a problem in this story? Yeah, the peddler's caps that he sells, they've gone missing. They're gone, and he doesn't know where they are. We know his motivation is he wants those caps back. Why does he need those caps back? Mr. Voyagers, you guys are too smart for me. Oh my goodness. Yes, he needs those caps because that's how he makes his money. And we already said he couldn't get lunch because he didn't sell any caps because nobody wanted any caps that day. So we know that he needs those caps back. I wonder who took the caps or where they went. Stay tuned and we will find out tomorrow. Awesome hard work today, Vista Voyagers. Give yourself a pat on the back. Kiss your brain, say, I'm so smart. I'm so smart. You guys crushed it as usual. And I cannot wait to see you tomorrow for another day of Read Aloud. Until then, I hope you have an amazing day and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, scholars.